Scrappy people, Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with another layout in my 12 by 12 or Think Outside the 12 by 12 series, where I scrapbook a 12 by 12 layout using a different technique every time. There is an attached tutorial in the blog post in the description box below. Not tutorial, but like a breakdown of the video in the description box below as well on my blog. Anyway, every week I do a different 12 by 12 layout using a different technique that will show you or help you use your 8.5 by 11 or smaller, because most people have 8.5 by 11 or smaller printers, 8.5 by 11 printables to make 12 by 12 layouts. Today I'm going to be using the candy coated Christmas collection with these 12-year-old photos of my youngest. I cannot believe how old these photos are, but I reached back into the archives to find these adorable photos. They are going to match the candy coated Christmas collection really well. And today we are going to be tackling using your embellishments and basing your embellishments, so your stickers, basing your layout off of your embellishments. So we are not going to be using any 12 by 12 paper at all, or any patterned paper, I should say. Of course, we have to use a 12 by 12 for the background. So I've been using cardstock this whole series. I also have some cardstock that I might use for mats. I might pull in some white cardstock. In fact, let me grab a piece of textured white cardstock. I don't know that I can commit to such a bright background. I might end up doing white with the green and red mats instead, which I think will work as well. I don't know, but we are going to use only cardstock, no patterns at all for this page, and we're going to be building a layout based solely on stickers. So what I'm going to do actually for this page, because it is a Christmas page, because we are doing Christmas in July on the blog this month or this week, I'm going to be making a wreath. You can do this in so many different ways, but the wreath is the obvious choice for a Christmas page. There are more examples with embellishments on the blog post from the team, where they have based a layout almost completely around embellishments. So you can check those out if you need more non-wreath ideas. But let's get started with this page. So it's going to be fairly simple. I'm just going to use all of my stickers, and there are a ton in the Candy Coated Christmas collection. I'm going to use them, and I'm just going to start playing and building a wreath. So let's go. I don't know if it's just me, but red and green as the chosen color palette for one of the biggest holidays, or the biggest holiday in the Western Hemisphere, I suppose, of the year is just so offensive to me. I hate the color combination red and green, which is always evident in my Christmas collections because they are never just red and green. I can't take it. Long story short, that is why this is definitely getting a white background with just some red and green mats. Now I popped these up on foam so that they would get a little bit of lift off the page, and then I can build my embellishment wreath around it. So I had to cut some of it off because it was overlapping the other one. And I'm just gonna put these right in the center, and they're sort of jauntily angled so that they can sort of mesh with the wreath. Now the wreath is going to be made out of embellishment, so it's not going to be a perfect circle. In fact, I definitely fill in most of the center of this wreath, so it just kind of becomes a big big blob of embellishments, but I really love it. It came out really cute, but it definitely veered away from wreath territory. On the blog, oops, sorry. On the blog there are examples using the same technique from the team, and there are hearts, there are stars, there are all kinds, there are straight lines, there are all kinds of embellishment clusters that are not wreath shaped. So if you aren't doing Christmas, or you don't want to do like a traditional circle, then you can pop over there in the description box below and see all of the other sorts of ideas, because this is a really common and easy technique, especially for my collections, because I include so many stickers, and most collections have a lot of illustrations included. So you might, if you print out the full sticker sheets, have a lot of stickers left over that you want to use up, like I do. I have a ton of stickers from the Candy Coated Christmas collection, including those like wooden stars, and those snowflakes are actually from the digital kit that I print and cut. that joy that is gold foiled. There is a tutorial on my, I have it linked on my blog. I think I put it on my Instagram though, on gold foiling at home using a laminator, just a cheap laminator, and I did that with a laminator. So that is also from the Candy Coated Christmas collection. It is one of the stamps. I believe that the heart circle up there at the top is also one of the stamps that I printed in red. I did a ton of tutorials with the Candy Coated Christmas collection on how to use these pieces in really creative ways, and so I have a ton of really cool embellishments for this collection that just needed to be used. So I have the basic pieces laid where I want them to go, so I'm just going to start pulling it apart and putting it back together. And of course when I do that, it starts to change shape just a little bit, because you know you never can put everything back in the same place that it was at in the first place. Oh my goodness. So I actually like the way that it evolves though, sort of spread everything out. And the key here when you are using embellishments as your main focus like this is to start with the biggest embellishments first. They're going to go on the bottom, so those are the floral clusters, the stars, the snowflakes. And now I'm working with the mid-size embellishments, the banners, the cupcakes, the joy word, just the things that I'm going to pop up on foam mostly, so that they get a little bit of height like the photos and give a little variation to the page. If everything was just flat on the page, it would look fine, but if you add just a little bit of height to a few of the pieces, it makes them have a little bit more shadow depth, and it just makes it a little bit more visually interesting. Now I'm taking my mid-size leaves of pine branches, and I'm adding to some of the clusters so that the florals are a little bit larger. Now we're going to take the mid-size hearts and sprinkle them in all over, and you can see this really coming together quickly and in a fun way. Because I varied all of the types of embellishment I'm using, I'm not using all florals, I'm not using all snowflakes, it makes it really interesting and dynamic. Now we are having a little bit of a problem up in the top right corner specifically. It feels a little bit light with that white snowflake not quite extending visually into that corner, so I'm trying to build out a little bit up there. I want to add in the candy pieces, because initially this was going to have a large title, but I decided that it didn't need one. But the title was going to be something along the lines of such a sweet kid, or you know, sweet Christmas candy, sweet as candy. I don't know, I hadn't worked out the title yet, but I was going to add a title, and so I was adding the candy so that it would tie into the title, but then I decided that it did not need a title, at least not a big one. So instead I'm going to use some small letter stickers and make just like captions instead. But then I decided that I needed to get fancy and add in some twine, because he is playing with Christmas lights that have green strings, so I thought that this green string would tie into the photos really well. And then of course I got super fussy about tying that bow, so it took me forever, so we fast forwarded through that. But it's just wrapped around really cute. I adhered it with staples so that it would stay still. And then I got out some Citrus Twist alphabets, and I'm just going to add some titles, some subtitles too. Okay, so now the last thing I want to do is add in some bling. So I went into my Christmas stash, pulled out some sequins that I thought would add to this page, and I'm going to just put them around the outside edges. I'm going to actually make sure that they stay, the big ones at least, with a staple, because they are not wanting to stay on this textured cardstock. You can't see it on the video, but the textured cardstock has little dots on it, so they were not wanting to adhere very well. And of course I was fighting with my stapler the whole time because it did not want to staple. And then I'm going to take the little tiny gold stars, and I'm just going to add a few gold stars around the larger gold stars just to bring it out a little bit and make it a little more blingy. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. Again, there's a link to the blog post in the description box below, and I will see you next time. Thank you.